Okay, so I originally wanted to do this by just going through Yacht World and picking out boats. But as I was doing that, I was getting more and more information and selecting the boats that I really wanted to go over. So rather than just randomly doing boats, we're just going to go through these boats. So the first one that comes up is this Tiana Vancouver 42. That's a featured boat. That's the first boat that comes up, which makes me think that they must have some kind of AI that features that selects the boats that you want to look at. Um, this is a very interesting boat. It's a beautiful boat. I think that this is a wrap, but I'm not sure. It's a whatever it is. It's pretty. The hull is very pretty. Um, let's see. The designer on this boat is Robert Harris. The builder is the Ta Yang Yard in Taiwan. These boats are super famous for being very, very stout boats. They have a full fiberglass hull. There was about 200 of these built, so you know that it was very popular. I see these out cruising all the time, 37s and 42s all the time. One of my friends in Polynesia lived on his for I think like 7 years before they bought a cat. It was a Tiana 42. It wasn't the Vancouver model, but it was, I think yeah. It was a Tiana 42 called Agape. They've got a YouTube channel now. They've got a leopard cat. So the yeah, as everybody knows, in this era, you have to be careful of the blisters on boats because there was a oil embargo in 74, and then I think they added fire retardant in like 78, 79 to some of the mixtures. So some of the yards got this like fire retardant added weird mixture of, maybe they were cutting costs or something like that because the oil price was so high. And it caused a lot of the boats from that era, from like 79 to 83 or 4, to have blisters. And the Hans Christians had it. A lot of the Taiwanese yards had it, including this one. So there is a blister risk on these early hulls, but they used isophylactic gel coat after 1985. So if you remember 1985, that's kind of where the blisters stopped for all these Taiwanese builders. And then in 1992, they switched to vinyl ester resin. So that's that's a good time era. So 79 to 84, maybe. 85 to 92, probably not. And then after 92, definitely not, but most likely not. Okay. These things are famous for their teak interiors, which I looked at this one and it's got a couple of red flags that come out to me. I don't know anything about this boat, but I will tell you, when I look at one of these and it has a white ceiling and a white bulkhead, I'm thinking that somebody painted the wood because of water damage and probably replaced the headliner because of water damage. So these boats are called leaky tikis for a reason. Most of them came with teak decks. You can see that this one doesn't have a teak deck anymore. So someone probably what happened. This isn't my boat. I don't mean this to be like a negative remark. What I'm trying to explain to you is how these boats have evolved. So if it came with a teak deck and it had 1,600 screws in it, and the screws started leaking, they started getting into the substrate of the deck, because the deck is not solid fiberglass. It's fiberglass and then wood and then fiberglass. So it's got a core material in it. So a lot of the time what happens is you have the teak and then you have those screws, and the screws go through the first layer of fiberglass and into the core material, and they get the core material wet. And that core material ends up it just feeds out. You can have a couple of different core materials. One can be end grain balsa, squares. One can be plywood. Most likely these are plywood, and the plywood just kind of feeds that water out. And so when you take a teak deck off, you take the first layer of fiberglass off as well, and then you just dig out all of the wood that's bad. So you don't do all that work and not do that part. So usually, if you see a boat like this with a non teak deck, it's probably done well. Now, what you have to look for inside the boat is how bad is the water damage inside the boat. And you can kind of see right here, you can see on the floor how it's really worn away. That's pretty indicative to water damage. You can see some right here on the nav station. I bet you what happened is the entire headline was probably messed up, and this bulkhead just looked like crap. And they very nicely painted it, and they replaced the headliner with like a PVC, which is actually what they use on new boats now. So is that a bad thing? No, I don't think so. I think painting it nicely and you know, doing the varnish on the trim pieces and leaving the trim, they did this really nicely. Yeah, the floor is not the best, but you know, you're getting a pretty damn good boat for $100,000, for 95 grand. This is a great boat. Very, very Bluewater ready. I'm going to give this one a deal, and boom. I love it. Yeah, I'm going to give this Tiana a deal. It's not a horribly great deal. I think 95 grand is probably about what this is worth, like right on the money. I consider the new headliner an upgrade, in my opinion. This is an old boat. This had to happen eventually. The guy did it correctly. It looks freaking nice. He did the paint job well. He left the trim. He obviously, you know, maybe had it professionally done, but this boat is like, the bones of this boat are nice. The headliner looks nice. The boat looks nice. This is just, you know, a 2026 version of this boat. So you're not going to have the original headliner and stuff, which this stuff is probably better anyway. Okay. So that's the first deal that you have. We're going to do one more boat, and then we're going to give away a book. Okay. So don't do Captain yet. I'll let you know when. Let's see. Next boat we're going to do is a Cooper 416 Pilot House. So this is a 1980 boat. It's $78,000. It's in Washington State with all the rain. That's where I'm from. And I picked this boat specifically because Cooper doesn't get talked about a lot, and I wanted to tell you about the boat. Okay. So it's a Pilot House version, which I find ugly. These boats didn't stick around very long. They're not prolific. I don't know how many were built, but the problem with these boats is much like the Downeaster. If you guys are old enough to remember the Downeaster boats, they had these giant windows as well, and a lot of the time they used acrylic for it, and they are just not that well made, well thought of, well engineered, so they leak. And if you get a boat that's a 1980 with leaky windows that you have to rebed every 2 years, because the problem is the way that they did it. They had the frame very thin, and they have the window inside, and they didn't overlap anything. They don't give a lot of overlap for glue. So when the glue does start to fail, it doesn't have to fail much. Now, if you engineer a window that has a big overlap and a big frame in it, and you put glass into it, you know, that's a whole different piece. When it's three pieces, like a frame on the outside, a frame on the inside, and a piece of glass, and then everything smashes together and you got this much glue in there, that's a much different way. That's how people make boats now, learning from this era of boat. Does that mean it's a bad boat? No, these are good sailing boats. It just means that you got to watch for damage. Plus, you have to look for the chain plates on these as well. So, plus this one, I think, had a weird engine, if I remember correctly. It had it had a Kubota engine, right? So I think that these came with Perkins, and then this one says Kubota. So you're going to have to see why it has a Kubota. Now, it may be a marinized Kubota from Perkins that, you know, because sometimes the engine manufacturers did weird things where they would like buy engines from a different manufacturer and then put their name on it and marinize it. But if this is like a home marinized job, don't get it. 2,800 hours is probably pretty good. It just depends on, you know, you would have to really, really look through this boat to see how much it was used, and then ask the owner, hey, has this been repowered? Why was it repowered with a Kubota? It looks like somebody used it. Like this is a LaFrance windlass, and those are really nice windlasses. It looks like it's got some newer canvas on it as well. So it looks like somebody cared about this boat and loved it and probably wanted to sail in the rain with it because they have a full enclosure. That's usually a Seattle thing, an Alaska thing. And, you know, it's got kind of a mixture of old and new electronics. So who knows? This is a BNG that came out a few years ago. So I think somebody has it and they like it and they use it. It's perfect for the Pacific Northwest because it's got the steering wheel inside. Like I see a new chart plotter. I see a brand new, these Mediterranean style stoves came out a few years ago and they're expensive. These things are like $3,000. So somebody bought this boat and really wanted to use it and put some money into it, and it looks nice. Now, what you'd have to do is caveat emptor is the windows. That the windows are the biggest thing for me. But it doesn't look like there's any like blatant problem here. The floors have been redone. It looks like. Looks nice. Yeah, it's got a skeg hung rudder. I like it. I'm gonna give this one a deal. This is a good boat. Boom, deal. Number 2 deal. All right, I know you guys are waiting for the disasters, but we got to give away a book. All right, comment captain right now, and I'll give you about 3 minutes, and then I'm going to copy all the captains, and we're going to put it into ChatGPT. You only can get one entry. I put that in the rules for the LLM, so you just comment once, and one of you will get one of these. This is the second printing of this book. I printed 15,000 of these. I've already sold out of the first 10,000. If you want one of the last ones, I actually have a few left of the first 10,000. Let me see right here. If you go to the book, bethecaptain.com, right here, the signed first edition, that's the first one. That's this one with, I took 1,000 of them back, had them shipped to my mom's house, sprayed them with fixative so the gold wouldn't come off, and then put a commemorative card in them, sign them. So these are the last 500 of the first edition books, and they're all signed by me. I am giving away signed books today. Okay, you guys are all getting, whoever wins today is going to get a signed book. So one of these first edition, limited edition ones. Cool. Are you happy? Are you excited? I can finally see your comments, which is good. Restore chat, pop out chat. Here we go. Love it, love it, love it. Wow, there's a lot of captains here. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to get them all. Hey, I'm having a problem seeing more than like the last 100 chats. So you know what? I'm going to have Graham, if you could please copy all the people that are commenting captain, and then put it in the ChatGPT. Give it the rule that they can only get one, and then spit it out and let me know, please, because I don't think it's fair that I can't get back. It's only letting me go back to as far as right where I'm starting here. Okay, thanks, buddy. I will update you guys in just a second. As soon as there's a little bit of lag here, so just give me a few seconds, and Graham will pick a winner. In the interim, I am going to show you one more deal. One more deal. Here we go. All right, we talked about the Cooper. The next one, oh, this is a good one. This is a Cal 44. So pay attention to this one because I'm going to teach you something about this. Okay, so Cal is a very famous design boat. I've talked about Cals before, and the designer for the really famous Cal 40 that won all the Transpac races was Lapworth. This one, the Cal 44, is not Lapworth. It was designed by Raymond Hunt, and it was still built by the same yard. It's called Jensen Marine. It was founded by Jack Jensen in 1957. And then Jack Jensen decided to sell in the mid 60s. I can't remember the exact year, but he decided to sell Jensen Marine. And then the people that bought it ended up buying it, holding it for a few years, and then moving the entire factory from Costa Mesa, California to Tampa, Florida. And then that was in 1981, I think. And then in 1985, they decided to move it from from Tampa to Fall River. So it was like the timeline for Cal is the very early boats in the 60s and up to like the mid 60s were really good. They were all designed by Lapworth. And then when it got bought once and it got bought again. They moved factories once, they moved factories again. And the point being of this long diatribe is when you have a move of factories, it's like not a death sentence for a boat manufacturing company, but you lose all of your good guys, you lose some of the quality control. It's just really, really difficult to get the quality of the boat on the same level as if you just had one yard. Okay, I'm not getting anything from Graham yet. Let me see if I can go back. Graham, did you get that message that I need a winner for that? I need you to do that. I don't know why my comments aren't coming. My chat is not coming through today. He'll get it. He'll get it for you guys. Don't worry. So while he's doing that, I'm going to go back. He's writing me right now. Come on. I'm going to go back and start. Here we go. Joseph Wedrich, 7465. Joseph Wedrich. You are the proud owner. You are the first winner of the book. Okay, good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. So let me go back to that Cal because this is really cool information. So the Cals that came in this era, like the 44 from, let's see, where are we here? Here we go. Cal 44 from 1985. So 1985 is like right before they moved the Cal factory from Florida to, I think it was Massachusetts, somewhere in the Northeast. So basically what you've got is the Cal boats, very well built, very well designed. They sold the company, moved to the factory. This boat was built in Florida under the second or third tenure. And then they moved the factory again right after this boat came out into the third one. And that's pretty much what killed Cal is they just weren't, they couldn't keep the quality control because they moved yards too many times. And that kills a lot of boats, man. Let's see. That said, these boats are nice boats. They're well built. They're good sailors. They're a little bit old. So, 1985 is 41 years old. I'm dating myself now. And they're set up a little funny. Like they have this raised kind of section here. When I'm looking at this boat, I see very old electronics. I see kind of a mismatch. I bet you that this Raymarine is going to be burnt out, and it's upside down, it looks like. Is this thing upside down? Oh, no, just the name is upside down. That's weird. That's definitely obsolete. And you're going to find a lot of stuff in here that's obsolete. It's probably not got tin wiring. It's probably not, it's got these big windows that, again, these are the type that leak, so you got to be really careful about rebedding them every couple of years. The floor, I think I remember the floor in this boat looking really good. Yeah, the floor looks nice. You can see that the mast has been leaking, and this is pretty much telltale signs, which that's what you're going to get for the price. So if you're going to spend 44 grand on a boat, you're going to have some water damage. It's an old boat, there's almost no boat you can buy that's 25, 35, 45 years old that's not going to have a little bit of water coming through somewhere. It's just plastic boats leak. That if you call a broker with a fiberglass boat and it's not brand new and he says that it doesn't leak, he's probably not going offshore with it. A lot of the time, what I tell people is, if it doesn't leak at the dock, if it leaks at the dock, it's going to piss underway, because as the boat's flexing, all those little leaks that the rain comes through, end up being really big leaks, and it just soaks everything. I really like the layout of this bed. That's nice. That's a Pullman. I love that. It's like, center line more towards the mast. It's not in the very aft end of the boat. It's not in the very front end of the boat. This is awesome. This is what you get for a design from the late 70s, early 80s is, you have to climb over your partner to get out of the bed. It's not set up for a couple. But yeah, this is cool. So not the original Cal, but the original idea. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Next one we have is, 1959 Sparkman and Stevens Custom. Okay, so this is a $121,000 boat from 1959. And I picked it just for a reason, because it's so custom. I just wanted to give you my ideas on what to watch out for. Oh, you know what? This Cal, I'm gonna call this a deal and a disaster. It could be a disaster, it could be a deal. Okay? You're going to have to, this is one of those ones where you're just going to have to look through it yourself if you're really interested in this boat. If you want, I can help you with that. I do consultations on the side. If you go to my website, bethecaptain.com, and go down to consult, this is my private offshore decision session, I call it. That's a lot of words for a consultation, but that's how that works. So yeah, this is kind of going to be one of those things where it's going to take a lot more work than I have time to put into this, but I just want to give you the history of the boat. Now, this Sparkman and Stevens, super famous company, super famous designers, very, very, very good pedigree. This boat was actually built for the heir of the DuPont fortune in the early 60s. It's got a GMT carbon fiber mast from 2022. It's got rod rigging from 2022. It's got a brand new furler, looks new, which means probably they don't know what happened to it. It's got a Sperry mainsail. It's got a brand new engine, basically brand new engine, four-cylinder Yanmar from 2011 with not a lot of hours on it. And it's an aluminum boat. So it's aluminum hull, made for the heir to a fortune. It's a beautiful boat. This is beautiful. I love the lines on this boat. And I know it looks old. A lot of you guys probably don't like this aesthetic, but I think this boat is absolutely phenomenally pretty. I love the wooden wheel. I love that you can lay down inside the cockpit. It's got a really nice tub cockpit with high combing. When you take water over the boat, it doesn't come in the cockpit. It'll just wash off the back end of the boat. You can probably sleep 3 or 4 people in here, one athwart ships and the others here. I absolutely love it. It's not a humongous cockpit, so if you get pooped, it's not going to sink the boat. It's definitely set up for, the boys to go sailing. It's not this was a race boat. This was somebody's really nice race boat. Could you use it for cruising? Yeah. You're not going to cruise with a family on this thing. This is single guy. You can make this into a good V berth. You can do a little bit with this interior, but you're probably not going to cruise much on it. Now, this is the problem with this boat, and this is why I chose it. This is a 60-year-old boat that's aluminum. That means that somebody put, I don't know, this mast alone probably cost $60,000. And the new Yanmars, that's probably another, it's not new, but it doesn't have a lot of hours on it. That's probably, let's say, another $15,000. So that's like $75,000 right there, just in the rig and the motor. And they're asking $120 for it. They've dropped it $30,000. What I imagine happened with this boat was somebody owned it that really wanted their perfect race boat, their trophy boat, maybe a cruising boat. And then, maybe they got sick, maybe they died, maybe who knows what happened, but just from the flag of the Harkin Mark IV furler looks new, probably the guy is not around anymore to tell them. And the problem with this boat is the aluminum hull. So this could be a very good deal, or this could be a very big disaster for somebody. Because aluminum, the Navy retires aluminum hulls at 40 years. That's why you can actually buy ex-Navy boats, and awesome, big, huge ones with big Caterpillar engines with I mean, it's millions of dollars of boat for nothing because the aluminum is now past its usable service life. Does this mean that this one is? No. It just means that that's how the Navy treats it because they don't want to deal with it. Electrolysis and aluminum don't get along very well. And this hull could be a $200,000 replating job, or it could be thick enough where it's viable for a cruising boat for you. When, I would say you'd probably want to make a double bed in the front, but this would make a cool cruising boat. I think there's a bunk right here too, and that would be real nice if that's a bunk. I'm pretty sure it is. That's a bitchin' boat, man. So what you need to do if you're getting this boat is you would have to have somebody survey the bottom. And they take like an electrode. They can tell what the thickness of the boat is. They draw like a grid on the bottom, and they take a reading like on every intervention point of that grid, and they give you a literal like graphical representation of that, and that's what you go by. Same thing with a metal boat, which you should do on any metal boat older than say 20 years. In aluminum and metal, I'm using interchangeably. Okay, so this would be a super cool boat. Probably not everybody's boat, but man, just a beautiful pedigree for this thing. Everything's, with these boats, everything's built so well. They used all the best stuff they could. This was a rich man's boat back in the day, but it was built in the 60s and designed in the 50s when sailing was a boys' game. It wasn't a family thing. That's why it's all single berths. This is a fold up. Okay, so this one folds up. You can lay here. One guy can lay here. Two guys can lay in the front. It's all single. There's no double berth at all. Could you make it a double berth? Yeah, you could alter it to be, but the most important thing with this boat is the pedigree of the hull and the carbon fiber mast and the Fairleigh engine and yeah. Anyway, we got to get a determination. This one I'm going to give a disaster and deal at the same time. More of a disaster because I don't know, man. It just seems like a lot. If this boat were like 40 grand, I'd say it's a deal. But 120,000, yes, that mass is worth a lot, but it depends on the hull. If they have a reading and a sounding and a sounding of the entire hull and it's perfect, maybe it's a deal. But be careful with that one, okay? Let's go to the next one. The next one is a Baltic Custom FAR 44. Okay, I did this one on purpose because I made a video about the night I lost my keel. Night I lost keel, Zingaro. Here we go. It's called The Night I Almost Lost My Keel and Why I Quit Deliveries. It's got 875,000 views. And it's a cool story. It's a true story about another FAR designed boat. Not to say that FAR is a bad designer. I don't want to give FAR a bad rap. He's a brilliant designer. But these types of boats are racing style boats. Now, this is the difference. This boat was made in one of the best boat yards in Finland. It's a Finnish boat, and there's kind of a stereotype about the Finns in the sailing world that if you find a boat that's owned by a Finn, you want to buy that boat because they're meticulous about their maintenance. They build like really good boats. Like Finland is in the North Sea, man. And it's brutal up there, and they build nice boats. They build the Naughty Cats, and they build the Baltics, and they know what they're doing. So this is the difference. This FAR Design 44 is more of a racing style boat, more like a Swan. This is kind of comparative to a Swan, and I highly doubt it has a grid. I don't know for sure, but I am almost 100% sure that it doesn't have a grid in it. So because it doesn't have a grid, having that racer cruiser, man, this interior just looks beautiful. They do such a good job. A little different than the way that Hans Christian does it. Like this would be a curved circle, like a semicircle oval shape. I love Baltics. I think they're so pretty. They make really nice boats. Like look at this interior, dude. For a 40-year-old boat, beautiful. It's got some wear on it. It looks like it's been loved. It's been sailed a little bit. Needs some needs some upgrading. The weird part about buying a finished boat like this, an older finished boat, is everything's weird. Like, what is an Alps stove? I've never even heard of that. And you'll get a lot of that. Like, where the hell did this faucet come from? Where did this come from? How do I get this? I can't buy another one of these. I just have to either make it or like change the entire layout. This boat would be a really good candidate for an upgraded Corian countertops. It's got top loading fridge, which I don't mind. I don't know, man. I'd have to go through the entire boat. Most of the electronics look pretty old, but the joinery and the interior looks beautiful. The bathroom looks nice. This is probably a wet head, and I like when everything's molded. Everything's one piece, so it's molded in a mold, and they just put it in the bathroom, and it just makes it so it doesn't like. There's no wood to go bad here. There's no when you have a wet head, a lot of the time all the wood in the wet head gets messed up. So I love the dichotomy between the really warm, rich wood interior and then the wet head. Yeah, I like Baltics. I met a guy on a Baltic with his family, a Baltic 50. It was just like this one, and he loved that boat. And it had like a huge cockpit, just like this, where he kind of stepped out and then stepped down into another big cockpit. And he had a 3-year-old boy on the boat. He loved the way it sailed. It was a pretty deep draft. I remember he had like a 2.5-meter draft. So you might have to, yeah, this is an 8.2 meter, 8.2 foot draft. So that's like 2.6 or 2.7 meters, right? That's a huge draft. This is more of like a racy style boat. So that's the trade-off with every boat is when you get offshore on a boat like this, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. Like, that's the kind of boat that you want to just chug through miles. Big, heavy boat, big, long keel. You know, imagine the keel when you're thinking of keels. Everybody asks, you know, what's the difference between a short keel and a long keel? Think of like a grandfather clock, you know, and you have that pendulum. If the pendulum's way up high, it's just going to go like this. It's going to be more tender. Every wave is going to hit you a little more. The deeper and the more weight you put in that keel, I mean, to a certain point, is going to make the boat roll slower and be less tender, be more stiff. And that's what you want for comfort offshore. And then when you have a fin keel that's deeper, you can usually point higher. Not every time. It depends on the hull shape as well, but you can usually point higher, yeah. Let's see. So yeah, that's this boat. Beautiful boat, really nicely made. I wouldn't scoff at having this. I'm going to give this one a deal. It's only $89,000 for a FAR 44. Let's see here. Where do we go? Boom, deal. I wish I had a sound effect for that, or maybe applause. Yay! So I think this is our second actual deal sailboat. Next is a Koopmans 47. So Koopmans are Dutch-built boats. They're one of the most famous Dutch brands. They are beautiful. I really love their boats. I think that the Dutch build the best steel boats. They make all the Hoke boats, like the super yachts now. If you're gonna buy or build a aluminum boat, I would say go Dutch. Go to them. There are a lot of builders around the world that are very good as well. I know that Delos is building in Australia, and I think like Plucky's building in Taiwan or in Vietnam, and all of this work is good. I just know from my experience that the Dutch are the ones that have been building steel and aluminum boats forever, and they make beautiful boats. And you know, you can see these boats all the way around the world. Hence this photograph, dude. Like, this is an amazing photograph for a boat sail. That's badass. That's a big glacier. Who knows where that is? But it's funny that there's only 2 pictures to this. That probably means that either the owner's a bit older and he just isn't very savvy with, you know, sending pictures to the broker. The boat may be still remote in a remote area, but you can gain a little bit from these pictures. Okay, so this is probably a steel boat. I think the Koopmans came in steel and, steel. I think they came in steel and aluminum, but most of them were steel. I think they might have come in fiberglass as well. I'm not sure. but this one is a masthead rig, double spreader. It's a cutter. It's got dual poles on the front of the boat, which just looks badass. So when you want to go, you can pull one sail out one side and one sail out the other side, and then you can go wing on wing with just the head sails. That was a big selling point of all the Amels, if you remember it. Like Henry Amel had this idea that that's what he wanted to do, and it works really well. And the cool part about this, and what I need you to understand is, when you're offshore and you're in a big sea and you're in a big, blow, or maybe you're in 10 knots of wind or 15 knots of wind, but you want to go downwind. You can either, sailboats, as a rule, don't go directly downwind without a big spinnaker. And the spinnaker sail is a pain in the ass. It's dangerous. You can overload your boat. It's just one of those sails that's like, oh my God, the spinnaker. Okay, let's do it. Once it's flying, it's beautiful and it's fun, but you're always kind of like on the edge of your seat. It could collapse at any minute and just blow apart. Or maybe, if the halyard breaks on the top, I've seen this happen. The halyard snaps on the top, the sail gets blown over the boat runs over it, and now all of that weight is now in those all of the lines that are probably Dyneema, and it snaps the entire bow beam of the catamaran. And now it pulls down the rig and it snaps your bow beam, all for that little freaking thing, because you were sailing with a spinnaker when you probably shouldn't have been sailing with the spinnaker. It's a little bit more windy. And then what happens when the wind comes up and you've got this huge sail and way overpowered? Now your boat's out of control and you're trying to get this thing down. And yeah, I mean, a sock, they sell the spinnakers with like a sock, and you can pull the sock down, but if that sail's loaded at all, you're not pulling the sock down over it. It's really a pain in the ass sail. So to fight this, Henry Amel and obviously, what's his last name? Dick Koopmans, he designed this boat to have dual spinnaker poles. So one spinnaker pole goes out to this sail, one spinnaker pole goes out to this sail, and now you can go wing on wing and have a bunch of sail area and go straight downwind. And most importantly, if you're in 15 knots of wind and it goes up to 35 knots of wind, all you got to do is just reef your sails. Your poles can still be out. You can't reef a spinnaker. That's my point of this whole freaking story. So this is an actual, when I see this, I'm thinking this is a rig, dude. It's got a full enclosed cockpit. It's probably got a heater down there so you can heat while the person's on watch, which is super nice. It's got mast steps, which I love and hate at the same time. If they're folding, I like them more, but if they're always out, a lot of the rigging gets caught in them. I've had both. I had a Morgan 41 Owl Island with mast steps that were like big steps that were just, shit got stuck in it all the time. And then I had a folding one on my Cat, and I loved that setup because you can just go up the mast. You don't have to worry about it. You don't, at the time I was, in my early 30s, and I was just not even tying in. I would just go up the mast and go down the mast. And I was telling everybody, well, I don't want to put my life in your hands, so I'd rather just go up myself. Probably not the best idea. Now I have a harness and I do it right. And I explained this in my book, how to climb the mast correctly. I have a diagram in here. And basically what you do is you take two static lines, you put a harness on, you self-propel yourself so you're not counting on another person to raise you up. And then you have a fall arrestor on your chest going back to the other line, or your back going back to the other line. That way, if anything happens, something will catch you. And, people die every year doing that, dude. I hear stories. I hear too many stories. And every time I put up a mast, like now that I'm doing those commissionings for Bluewater and I'm working with a lot of riggers, every rigger has a story where he either has a friend that died, or he almost died, or probably he almost died multiple times and got saved by that fall arrestor. So granted, they're going up the masts way more often than we are, but I got everything in this chapter on how to climb the mast from the riggers, directly from the riggers. They taught me how to do it, and I put it in here. Speaking of book, it's time to give away another book. All right, so comment Captain below. Graham, if you could give it about 3 minutes and then just copy them all and send me the winner, please, because I'm having a problem with my chat. I do have a lot of questions from you guys already. There's probably 20 questions here, and I we'll get to that in just a minute. Let me just finish out a couple of these boats. All right. So did we talk about the Koopmans already? Yes. Talked about that one. Talked about the FAR. This 1990 Antigua 58 Pilot House is kind of a weird one. It says the reason that I chose this one, that I chose to bring this one up to you, is a couple of reasons. One, it's a 1990. When a boat turns 40, which this one is going to turn in 4 years, it's a lot harder to get insurance for them. I say that a lot, but it's true. And I'm talking about hull insurance. And it's hard to finance. I mean, like, this one says there's financing available now, but the problem is when you go to sell it, that financing available will not exist. Nobody's going to finance a boat that's 40 years old. So your buying pool gets smaller, and you're going to take a big depreciation hit here. Also, this boat, everywhere you look at this boat, it says it was created for renowned movie director Robert Wise in 1990. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm sorry, Senor Jason Gunn. I don't mean to make your boat look bad or anything, but in my opinion, this thing's ugly. It's got way too much windage. It was probably designed, like the whoever bought it wanted that huge thing. That way they didn't have to bend down to go inside. And I think I don't like it. It looks horrible, in my opinion. It's going to be hard to sell this thing. Now, what it does have going for it is it's a pilot house. It's got a huge fridge. It's got this really nice staircase. It's got this thing is cool. It's a cool boat. It's like quirky and probably fits somebody's dream out there. It's probably a very good boat. Look at that. Look at that bed. That's beautiful. Now, is it, a $300,000 worth? I don't know. That would be a deep dive with me. I can tell you that this is definitely obsolete. Looks like it's got a Perkins 4107, I think that is, and a washing machine and a full like stand-up fridge. It's just this part of it. I just don't like. This is like it looks like a motor sailor to me. It doesn't look good for a sailboat. But I'm a very purist sailor, so that's my opinion on that one. I'm going to call this one a disaster, just because I don't know much about it, but it just looks like a train wreck for me. All right, do we have a winner yet, Graham? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, drum roll, please. Who is the winner of the book? Book number 2. No? Don't have a winner yet? Okay. I'll wait for a second. Oh, we're up to the trimaran. I did this one for Graham. Graham, what do you think about this boat? This is a 2012 Hughes 40. Sick boat. This is a really nice boat. You can take these apart to ship the boat, or to put it in a slip. It's got a 30-foot beam. It's got a centerboard. This is a race boat that you may be able to cruise on if you really were a crazy sailor. I picked this one because I like Hughes. Awesome designer. I think that if you were one of those crazy hardcore, I'm going to go as fast as I can everywhere, I want a badass boat that's going to be super fun, this would be a good option. Now, these bolts scare me. I don't really love bolted together Amas. I would rather have like a one piece, carbon non-foldable Ama if you were going to go way far. All right. This would be a deal killer for me, as these bolts. But the boat's built really well. It's, I think it's cedar planking with carbon, and I think the weight on this thing, wing nut, that's a great one. I think the weight on this thing is like 9,700 pounds. Yeah, here, 9,700 pounds. That's like less than 5 tons for a 40-foot boat with the 30-foot beam. Is just, dude, this thing would rip. I think it'd be fun. I don't think that it'll make the best cruising boat, but if you're crazy, and some of you guys are, this would be a cool one. It would be fun. Is it worth $250,000? I don't know. That's really hard to say. I'd have to do a lot more in depth into this thing, but obviously it doesn't even have a Dodger on it. You know, I don't know what it looks like inside. Let's see if we can go inside this bastard. Crazy boat, dude. Yeah, here's the storage inside the Amos, which nobody lives in there anyway. It's got a rotating carbon mast. This thing's sick, bro. I think you could rip. Yeah, see, this you could live in here. I mean, a single guy. I saw a single girl going around the world on a ferry or trimaran. No, a Corsair, like a Corsair 28, and she was badass. She was docking the boat by herself into Aruba when I met her, and I was just like, whoa, this girl is too much. But you know, this would be one of those ones where you're not going to be comfortable in a storm, so you better weather route yourself around that, or just be fast enough, which you probably are, to outrun them. One of the few boats I would say that with, because normally what happens is people say, hey, you know, I want to buy this trimaran to be able to outrun storms, but once the storm hits you and the water's crazy, you're not going freaking 30 knots anymore. Okay, who won the second one? Let's see. New winner is Stewb. 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 You won a book, buddy. Thanks. So if you win a book, you can go to bethecaptain.com, and I'll show you real quick. Or if you want to contact me, you go to bethecaptain.com, and this will come up, and you go all the way to the bottom and say contact, and then you can contact my customer service girl, Grace. She is awesome. I love Grace, dude. I swear to God, that girl takes like 30 hours a week of work off my plate, and I really appreciate it. She's super good with everybody. Yeah, good girl. Thank you, Grace. All right, so what's next? What are we doing? I'm almost done with the boats, and then we'll get to the Q&A section, because I think there was one more that I really wanted to cover. Oh yeah, the Cal 246. Okay, so look. This is the original Cals. Remember in the very beginning of this, I talked about the Cal 44 and how Jensen Marine was sold. The guy that started Jensen Marine, I think his name was Jack Jensen, he ended up exiting that company. He sold it to another company. And then he actually picked this boat, the Cal 246, to go cruising with his family after he exited the company. So not only him, but the guy that designed it, Cal himself, said that this was his favorite design, and both of these guys picked this boat to be their cruising boat when they went cruising with their families. So this boat has a very good pedigree. This is before they moved from California to Florida, and before the venture capital got involved and they started moving to save money, and they lost all their workforce, and they ended up having quality control issues, and the company went in the shitter. That's kind of the story of a lot of boat companies. The more times you move, the more problems you have, man. I tell you what, you don't want the first boat from the new yard. Okay, so if you're looking at boats, try to figure out where it was built, when it was built, what yard it was built in, and how many boats they built before that. Because just because it's like number 16 in the line of boats doesn't mean it was built by the same people. You know what I mean? The new yard has a whole new learning curve to get through, and then the more boats they build, the more they it's the same thing that's happening with the Bluewater. Hey, you forgot this piece. Oh, don't do that. Hey, you wired this wrong. Okay, we got that. Hey, don't put a freaking, like my boat had a piece of wood coming out of the center of the bedroom, and I smashed my head on it. Didn't happen after that. It was just one of those growing pain things. All right, so Cal 246, I'm not going to go into this specific boat. I just wanted to let you know that this is the good version, in my opinion. These are all my opinions. Next is a Pearson Countess 44, and this is a pretty boat. Look at those lines, dude. Beautiful boat. I love it. I think it's just pretty. Now, these boats are solid glass. You might know the Sailing Uma has a Pearson. They have, I think, a 35-footer. This boat, some boats have this worm gear steering. So if you ever see a steering wheel on the back of the cockpit like this, and it looks funny, right? Actually, this is the most robust way to build a sailboat. So the Hans Christians had this. This Pearson had this. And what it is it's a rack and pinion worm gear that is like super, super beefy and goes right onto the shaft of the rudder. So it basically cannot be destroyed. Not the worm gear anyway. You could bend the rudder or you could break it off. am I not showing you guys? Oh shoot. Thank you, Graham. Here's the Pearson. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you get the Pearson, there's not a lot of boats that were built with this style of steering, but you can see it's funky looking, right? Here's the lines on the Pearson. Pearsons are heavy boats. They're solid glass. They were made famous by Sailing Yuma. Good boats, older designs. And this is really why I chose to highlight this boat for you, is this funny looking steering wheel that's tilted. It's because it's direct worm gear steering and it's rack and pinion, and it's just super robust. Some of the Hans Christians had this too, and I like it. That's a great system. I mean, that's like direct, you don't get any better than that. It's like two pieces. It's like there's worm gears on the end of this this spine, and then there's worm gears on this side that connect right to the rudder. All right. Second to last boat is the Tazwell 58. This is for all of you a little bit more wealthy people. If you want a great, really nice built boat, the Tazwell 58 is a bad mofo. This one would compete directly with the Wildest 54, with the Tayana 58, which I also really love. This was the builders of Tayana, the Ta Yang Yard, I think it was. This was their boat. They had their own model, and it was the Tazwells. And the Tazwells are famous for being just overbuilt, beautiful, nicely done boats. A lot of them had solid glass decks. Remember at the beginning of this, I talked about the decks having core, and you can have end grain balsa, or you could have plywood, or you could have foam. A lot of these Tazwell either did foam or solid, and it just makes it so you don't have any of the problems. This is Bluewater through and through, except for I think this is a roller furler boom, and I don't love roller furler booms. If it is, it's not my favorite, but not a deal breaker. You could always put a new boom on it. It just means, yeah, it's a leisure furl. It just means that you have to change the sail as well. So not a big fan of that, but everything else on this whole boat is badass. It's a keel step mast. It's got big lighting and big windows and lots of lights, a deck saloon. It's got a beautiful deck, non-skid instead of teak. Really well laid out inside. Like, look at this boat. It's beautiful. I love this. It's like got a smoking section. Oh man, this is cool. This is a cool boat. If you have the money and you're looking for something around 400 grand, this is one to consider. You can always change out the sail. Changing out that boom, if you really don't want that boom, is not that big a deal. It'll cost you, I would say, 20,000, something around that, 15, 20 grand for a new boom and a new sail, main sail, maybe 25. But you're spending 400,000 on the boat. That doesn't have to be the deal breaker here. Is that on the counter? Oh, I thought that was like in the wood. Yeah, I love the way this boat is finished. Wow, pretty. I love the way it's laid out. It's a 2003, so that's like right at the first point of where you want to be in this era boat, because in 2002 they started using tinned wiring. So pre-2002 Hylas won't have tinned wiring. Post-2002 Hylas Tazwell, all of those yards started using tinned wiring. Makes a big difference. Lasts for a lot longer, so you don't have to rewire these boats. Just a really cool example of a good boat. All right, last boat is a catamaran. I wanted to throw a catamaran in there because these are one of my favorite cats. This is an actual Bluewater cat. It's called a Nizhna 480. These boats, let's see. These boats were, oh boy. I think they were original. I heard something about Eric LaRouge like coming up with the initial designs for the Nizhnas, but they weren't. This one wasn't designed by Eric LaRouge, which is one of my favorite designers. They're well built. They're built in South Africa. They sail on their own keels. You can see the mast is raked, so this is one of those raked back cats. It looks badass. I don't know the actual like geometry of what that does to the mast, but the South Africans love this style and it looks super cool. And, I imagine it doesn't really matter if you have the mast straight or if you have the mast raked. I don't hear like these things ripping the masts off more often than their counterparts. And, if you're going to buy a cat, if you're a fan of cats, the Nizhnas are very, very nice cats. They sail well. They're well built. They're, they're all made. I think it's the same yard. I think it's the same yard as when they started. And well done, Nizhna. All right, that's the extent of my sailboats. I think I went through all 12. Let me just make sure. Maybe there was one more. Oh, I have a Mason 43 that I didn't talk about, but I've talked about Masons many times. I love Masons. They're also built in Taiwan. Good boats. All right, let's get to your questions now. All right, Large Farmont says, please cover some boats under 38 feet. I can only tow that weight myself, like 37 to 34. If you were to buy something 34 foot to 37 foot, you know who makes a good 39-foot boat is Halberg Rossi. My buddy's got a Halberg Rossi 39, and I know it's not in your range, but HR 39 sailboat. You can get these for about $130,000, and they are nice boats. Let me see. There's one for sale here. Ooh, this one's $180,000. So yeah, maybe $160,000. But these are great boats. Like I said, my buddy's got one, and he single hands this thing all over hell. Beautiful boat, good sailor. If you can find one of these with the factory hardtop, I really appreciate the factory hardtop on these boats. But that's it. 34. The Van de Stant makes a good 34 if you like a steel boat or aluminum boat. Let's see. Like the Islander 36 is one of those boats that's kind of a sleeper that, I think there was a record set by a 16-year-old boy on an Islander 36. Went around the world. It was like the youngest boy to do it at the time. And I think there was another person that went around the world on an Islander 36. They're not really made. They're not really offshore style boats, but you could probably get into it. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, the sub 40-foot boats right now, just because everything I'm doing and everything the industry's doing is 40 feet and over. That's when you get to 40, usually, not always, you have enough room to actually live on the boat comfortably for a long term. A couple of boats you got to watch out for are the Pacific Seacraft style boats. Just because, a 40-foot Pacific Seacraft feels like a 37-foot Pacific sailboat. They just don't have the interior volume, and especially if you're taller. The median boat size has really risen a lot. All right. Journey to Panama. What's up? Mariah 31 Pacific Seacraft. Any good? Well, I was just talking about Pacific Seacraft, but Pacific Seacraft were made in... Let's see the boat first. Oh, it's a transom hung rudder. That's such a pretty boat. Wow. This is an old one, huh? Says it was first built in 77, so it's probably a mid-70s design, full keel. It's got that lapse drake kind of built into the mold, so it looks like it's wood, but it's not. They're built in all the Pacific Seacrafts, as far as I know, were built in the United States. I think they're still in business. I think they're still building boats. The early versions had a 4-foot bowsprit. This was later increased to 5-foot, known as the Mark IIs. So this is something that when you're looking at boats, let me tell you a story. When Bob Perry designed the Valiant 40, the guy that built the boat for him decided to move the boat 12 inches forward in the mold, forward of the keel. And when he went sailing on hole number 1, he felt it immediately. It made the boat so it had too much weather helm. All of the center of effort from the rig, because the rig was in now too far forward, it made a lot of weather helm. So the wind would blow the front of the boat down, and everybody would have to fight the helm, and it didn't balance well. And it's stressful for the crew. It wears you out. It wears out autopilots. You don't want a boat that's unbalanced. If anything, you want a little bit of weather helm, because when you let go of the wheel, you naturally, if the boat is pushed over, it should kind of go to weather. Anyway, with this boat, he ended up adding a bowsprit to the boat to balance the sail plan on top of the keel that was in the wrong spot. and it balanced the boat perfectly. And not only did it balance it perfectly, it made it so aesthetically it was a beautiful boat and a super famous racer cruiser. Really like the birth of the modern racer cruiser was the Valiant 40. And the subsequent boats got fixed underneath too, but they kept that bowsprit. So when I see that the bowsprit was 4 foot and then they increased it to 5 foot, there's a reason for that. It probably had too much lee helm, and they increased the bowsprit to move the center forward. It probably had too much weather helm, and they moved the bowsprit forward to move the center of effort forward so that it would balance the boat better and give it a little more lee helm. I would probably try to find, if it's a Mark II, it would probably be a little bit better sailor and better for an offshore extended trip. Could you change that yourself? Probably, especially on a small boat like this. But yeah, that's where I feel. It's a pretty boat. It looks very offshore capable. I mean, it looks to me like a North Sea 27. You ever seen one of those? North Sea 27. I almost bought one of these. Looks just like this boat. And these ones are super famous for being like the little mighty trailer sailor that you can take around the world. Teresa from Morse Alpha used to have one of these. Have you ever heard of Morse Alpha sailing? This is Ben and Teresa from Morse Alpha, and they have a Norseman 447 now, but Teresa, this girl, did a TED Talk, and she was like the original sailing YouTuber, really. And she was one of my idols when I was kind of, living on my boat on the dock, dreaming about cruising. This girl was on her North Sea. Do I not have this up? Oh, shoot. Sorry. This has been in Teresa. So this is Morse Alpha. They do sailing adventures now. And this is Teresa. And you can find her TED Talk. I forget her last name, but let me see if I can do Teresa Sailor TED Talk. Oh, here it is. Teresa Carey. Yeah. I wonder how old this is. It's got to be 10 years old. 15 years. Oh my God. Awesome. Anyway, go and watch this. This is Teresa Carey. You can watch her old videos. It's only got 36,000 views. That's a shame. It's probably because it's poorly. Yeah, it's poorly filmed. It's not in 4K or anything. But this is a really cool talk by a girl that was on a very small trailer sailor, and you can watch her and her cat kind of go around the world in these old videos. So if you don't know about these guys, they're OG sailors, and they run a sailing school called Morse Alpha where they take people offshore. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. Sorry about not switching the screen. Thank you, Graham, for reminding me. All right, next. Let's see. Miles Miller says, could you give me your opinion on a Van de Staat 36 Excalibur? That's so funny. I just said Van de Staat 34 was a good boat. Van de Staat 36 Excalibur seems like a very interesting early fin keel design. Is it a steel boat? Most of these are steel. Van de Staat 36 Excalibur. It's a racer cruiser. Let's see. Excalibur 36. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. I like the lines. I don't really love the bottom of it. It looks like this is like right in that era where they were trying to figure out what makes the boat sail better. Like after the full keel, they started doing these bites out of the back of the keel and the bite out of the front of the keel. And I like the lines. It's pretty. Let me see. This is a fiberglass version. Okay. Cool. A lot of the Van der Staats were built in Holland, and the Dutchies are all about steel boats. So a lot of the Van der Staat boats were steel, but looks like this is a fiberglass version called the Excalibur 36. It's got good numbers. The ballast to displacement is 40. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a video with Plucky on this. Sailboat data Zingaro. Look up sailboat data Zingaro. And you'll come up with this video, and it's called Must Have Knowledge for Sailors. what sailboat data numbers mean. I did a whole hour-long video where Plucky and I go through what the formulas are for all of these, what they mean, how to interpolate them, and it's really is must-have knowledge for sailors. If you're looking for a boat, or if you have a boat and you don't understand these numbers, you got to understand them. Anyway, the ballast to displacement is basically how heavy the keel is compared to how heavy the boat is. And you want that number to be above 35. 40 is amazing. Displacement to length is 333. That's a super heavy boat. It's not going to sail in light air very well. It's going to be a little slow, but it's going to take a punch well. Looks nice. Looks like a very sea-kindly boat. It doesn't get a very huge comfort ratio because it's small. The comfort ratio is, watch the video. I explain it in there, but it's kind of like written on the back of a napkin. It favors longer boats, and that's one of the numbers that you shouldn't really like take as gospel. And the sail air displacement is actually really, really respectable. I like 17. That's a great number. I don't like it when they're too much sail. It just makes it so they get dangerous. You get too high of a rig and it ends up, tripping over itself and being real tender. And yeah, looks nice. Looks like a good boat for you, man. Different. That's not what most of the Vanderstadt designs look like. Journey to Panama. Rod rigging any good? Scares me. Rod rigging is the best rigging you can get. I mean, objectively. Some people would say synthetic rigging is the best rigging you could get. Some people would say die form. So this is kind of the way it goes with rigging. 1x19 wire is the standard. You can get die form, which is compact strand, where they take every circular, they crush it, and then it compacts together. It ends up making the whole wire 20% stronger. Then you get rod rigging, where it's just one piece of wire, and they like peen the end of it and make it into a ball and put it on a connector. It's supposed to last a long time. It's supposed to not stretch as much because it's one piece of extruded steel. It's more stiff. It's like the A-list celebrity version of metal rigging. So there's a reason for that. Yes, you can get corrosion inside that little peen section, and they can break off, and you could lose your rig. But that can happen with any rigging. Cool thing about rod is, I guess you can cut that peen part off and then re-peen it with a tool, and then just use the same rods with new threads, like longer threaded connectors, which is kind of cool. Not that I would really do that. I think rigging has a lifespan and needs to be changed, but rod rigging is considered one of like the best metal rigging you can get. Next, Sean McLeavin, McIlveen, hand pink waving first time here. Love this guy. Helps me so much. Welcome, bro. Thanks for that. That's awesome. I'm going to give away one more book. Okay. It's time right now. And then we're going to get out of here. I'll answer a couple more questions. I am putting together a Q&A video with all your questions that I haven't answered. I'm going to do that video this weekend, and then it'll come out this week. Also coming out is my hour-long talk with Kyle Jackney from Bluewater. That is this one. We had a really good talk, and then the internet went out in Florida, and the live stream got messed up, and there's really no way to save that. Like, I can't log back on. I'd have to start a new one, and it just wasn't worth it. So instead, I went and bought a mic, and I sat down with him, and we had an hour-long discussion, and my editor is cutting that up right now. So comment Captain if you'd like a free book. I'm giving away signed books today, okay? So you're going to get one of the last first editions with a commemorative card inside. I don't even have one of these myself. I should probably have one. I can't even show you what it looks like. It looks like that, except it's a little softer. All right. Let's see. Here we go. We'll go to my book. There we go. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. Boogie, maybe not the time to ask, but is a Grand Soleil Herman Freres a good Bluewater sailboat? I love Herman Freres. I don't like Grand Soleil. I just, that's my feeling of it. Okay. I can't really go into it more than that. So I don't know, to tell you the truth. I imagine that Herman builds a good boat, designs a good Bluewater offshore boat, but who knows if it's built like that? You know what I mean? Seven Dust. Oh, thanks for $5, man. I appreciate that. The sea is full of wonders and mischief. I love it. Yes, you're absolutely right, bud. Nathan Bristol. I finally got one of these live. Oh yeah, you. This is your first time on a live stream. Welcome, sir. Joseph Vendresch. Would wing on wing also work with a staysail catch, or would the balance be off? It'll work. It works better. It works the best with a dual track forestay that you can put another sail on that's the same shape and size as the first one. You understand what I'm saying? Like you have a jib. If you have two jibs that are the same size or similar sized, it works a lot better. They don't have to be the same size. You can use the staysail, but obviously the staysail is smaller. You want to load up the one side. So the side that's bigger, that can create the more lift, you just turn a little bit to that direction and load up that side. And then this side, you kind of pull out and give you a little bit of extra lift. If you have two that are in the very front that can open up perfectly, then you can go straight downwind. You understand? So if you're doing wing on wing from the jib and a main, which is how I do it, you have to go a little bit off and you have to favor the main because the main has to stay full. If you don't do that, then the main will just be all over the place. You'll be accidentally driving and stressing out the autopilot and everything. And the jib's there to provide extra lift with the main. It's kind of a balance thing, but you have to err a little bit, like 5 degrees, 7 degrees, 10 degrees on the side of the main. Get it? If you guys want to know, like I need to do a video on how to set up a pole and how to set up wing on wing, because that's such a great skill to have. And a lot of people do it wrong. And I see these people that are like letting their booms fly and having like shit flying down from them and stuff. This is absolutely insane. You should be in control of that damn pole the entire time you're sailing. Do not ever let go of that thing, man. It is so dangerous to let fly around. Stupid. Anyway, sorry, rant. All right, last question. Little Tyke, what's up? You're a member for 2 months. Hello there, Captain. Hi. That's all I got from you. I'm sorry. Seven Dust says, sent 1 Sailing Zingaro gift memberships. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I didn't even know you could do that. You give memberships to people. Cool. Stradivarian says, what year did they start coring hulls? Well, let me think about that. I imagine they always had some kind of sandwich construction ever since fiberglass started. So like there was wood boats in the 40s and 50s, and then in the mid 50s, late 50s, early 60s, they came up with, hey, let's build boats out of this new fiberglass stuff. And they're like, okay, cool. How many layers do we need? And they're like, we have no idea. So boats from that era are famously super thick and very, very overbuilt. And, that's when the people were just like, hey, yeah, put foam in it, put wood in it, put air in it, put nothing. They were trying to see how they could build it, what worked, what didn't work. They came up with vacuum bagging. I think Elon, the boat company Elon, came up with vacuum bagging. And the winner of the book is Dradoicic. 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 You are the proud winner of the second printing book. Yeah, man. Congratulations. Oh, no, wait a minute. This isn't going to be second printing. This is going to be the first printing. I forgot. I'm giving you a signed copy. Okay, so congratulations, everybody. Big thanks to our moderator, Graham. Very much appreciated. Thank you for picking all the winners. Thank you for getting all the questions. I am putting all the questions together with an LLM to help me pick out there's like hundreds of them. So I'm going to get an LLM to get me to pick like a 12-minute long, 15-minute long video worth of very valuable questions that you guys have asked. And that video is going to come out next week, along with the interview with Kyle. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something today. If you'd like to buy my book, it's bethecaptain.com. Much love, and I'll see you next week.